he has this interview with Candace Owens a couple of months ago. And if you see the interview, if you watch the interview, towards the end, he kind of blows up at her during the interview and kind of after, because she starts mentioning, hey, do you have a dating life? Do you have a girlfriend? Or, I'm hearing some of your views. I think your views are going to change as you have a family. He kind of blows up at her. He says, well, I don't really like women telling me what to do. I think it's less about women telling him what to do, if I'm being completely honest. I think it's about the fact that this is a sore subject for him. The topic of women. So Nick Fuentes has been accused of being in the closet before, right? So while he's on this interview with Tommy G asks him, hey, what is your ideology on women or dating, or what does your dating life look like? And once again, that echoes the sentiment. I don't have time for dating, and I think dating women is kind of dumb. So that's the pretext of this part of the conversation. They talk about an entire gambit of things. I thought it was an interesting conversation, especially from Tommy G. Like I said, he doesn't have a huge history, from what I understand, of talking about politics or anything like that, or speaking to people that are political influencers. So this was his first foray into that. And this is the clip. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Me and my wife were nodding our head. Then towards the end of the interview, there were some times where we just started laughing and we're a little like, all right, like this is a little bit nuts. First of all, what has been your dating experience in the last few years? I'd imagine this is a hard job because your security risk is a little bit higher. You're in the far right, which tends to be more men. What does your dating life look like in the last few years?
It's non-existent. I'm not dating. I'm not going out dating.
Are you looking at all?
No, and I don't even know if I'm going to get married. Really? I want to. I like the idea of it, but honestly, I really don't have a lot of interest in that.
So you don't think? I mean, are women what you look for?
Oh yeah, certainly, but
you don't have an idea. Do you want to spend your life with a woman?
No. I love when you phrase it that way. No, I mean the idea of that sounds annoying to me.
So I thought this was super interesting because Nick Fuentes, he purports himself to be somebody that is America first, and you would think that part of that is continuing the culture, your traditions, the American tradition through your bloodline. He's a Christian. Tommy G is going to bring that up momentarily. He says the idea of spending my life with a woman seems annoying. Like, he can't even fathom the fact that he would be around a woman for an extended period of time. He goes on in a few to talk about how he doesn't date. He's never dated. He's never had sex. He's a Christian. And I just find it so interesting because when you start talking about somebody that's influencing the next generation or has ideas about the future of America, you're actively choosing not to participate in shaping that future beyond your generation. And, this is the incel community that is online, perpetually online, saying that they hate women, have all these ideas about the future, but they're not actively participating in it. They have no stake in the game. If you remember, during the election last year, people started talking about how Kamala Harris didn't have children of her own. I believe she has like 2 stepkids with her husband, but they're like, hey, you're a woman that hasn't brought life into this world. What do you know about wanting to protect the future of this country? So it's easy to say, oh, well, and he gets into this later in the video about his actual family, his mom and his dad, but he doesn't have anybody that is going to be affected by the things that he says or his ideas on the world. So we're going to let him get into it, but I just thought that was super interesting that he has these ideas. He talks about like white people being replaced or erased in America, but he's not doing anything in his own to contribute to the longevity of, his race that he cares about or his own lineage.
Have you ever been in a serious relationship with a woman?
No, never.
Have you ever dated?
No.
Okay.
I've been on dates, but never.
So have you ever been just totally entranced by the magic of a woman?
No.
Really?
No.
Because I think once you discover how magical women are, that just dominates. Like when I was falling in love with my wife.
That's such a crazy thing to tell a guy that's 26. This dude is not, he's not a young kid going through puberty and, like, oh, well, I'm going to kind of be mean to a girl in order for her to like me. This dude is like 26, 27. and you're talking about him to him about discovering the magic of women.
I couldn't think about anything else. I was so distracted during the day. And she was at one time, we lived in a duplex. She was the upstairs neighbor. I was the downstairs neighbor. Didn't know each other for a while, but then during COVID, we started hanging out. And when I started liking her, there's a magic a woman brings into your life where they're almost like a mythical creature, I want to say, in a way. So I guess I'm just curious, I think the way you phrase it is like a woman just supposed to be a help.
It is not all women. Growing up, my mom used to say this statement, son to play with, son to stay with. And, having a robust dating life before I got married, I will say that that's rang true over my lifetime. Some women are, for a moment, and some women are actual like wives. That's the role that they are meant to play. They've been raised in that way. They've been nurtured in that way. They want to fill that role. So we're not going to get into the entire relationship dynamic thing or my ideology because it doesn't really matter. But I just want to say it's not all women. There are some women that are just, they're in your life for a season, and there are some women that are in your life for a reason.
Mate, why not just hire a cleaner or a butler? Is that how you kind of view what a woman would be in your life? Is there someone like, all right, needs folding, needs cooking, I'll be out, I'll be back at 8, I'll see you later. Is that kind of how your view?
No, but I mean, let's just start here. I would say that I recognize I'm not normal. I recognize that I'm not the norm. And, my attitudes that I express, they reflect, I have a very particular idiosyncratic personality. Most men, like you said, are obsessed with, they want to find the right woman, they want to get married, they want to make their wife happy. That's just never something that motivated me. I've always been more motivated by my career, by ideas. I love ideas. I love politics. I love work. And I recognize that's not normal. This is not prescriptive. I'm not prescribing this for people. But as far as my critique as an outsider, from the outside looking in, I would say that, because I don't want you to think that I'm some like curmudgeonly freak that's like, shut up, woman, I want my... But I do think that things have gone a little bit too far in the other direction with men and women, where I think that on some level, whatever level you want it to be, the man does have to have the authority in the relationship.
100%.
Yeah,
you don't think it's a given?
So I said that we're not going to get into relationship dynamics, but I lied. So we are going to get into it. This is a part of the conversation that I do agree with Nick Fuentes on. I believe that there are roles or there are responsibilities that the man should have, there are responsibilities that a woman should have, and there are shared responsibilities that you should just have as a partner in the relationship, right? And the reason I say that is if you give somebody a specific role and say, hey, this is what you're responsible for, this is what I want you to do, this is the expectation that I have of you and you have of me, you allow them to focus on a very specific set of things and thrive, right? So if I tell you, you guys, I've told you before, I'm a network engineer. I'm not doing all of this different cloud stuff. I'm not doing security engineering. I'm not doing systems engineering. My responsibility is to maintain a network, right? So I have a very specific set of boundaries that I operate in. And I know when I'm outside of my boundaries that I need to defer to another expert to handle that. Same thing with a relationship. I can operate well within my boundaries and work to excel at those things, right? You have a wife, you give her a certain set of expectations. She gives you a set of expectations, and you allow her to thrive at the things that are within her boundary, right? So I agree with that part. The issue is Nick Fuentes has never dated, never been in a long-term relationship, never lived with a woman. I believe he is also a virgin. He's a incel. The things that he believes have not been put into practice, and that's an issue. You have ideas about the way things should go, but you don't have the experience to know if they actually work in the real world, right? You can say, oh, I have this theory about how relationships should work. But until you're living with somebody, until you've had to have those interpersonal relationships and you disagree and you argue and you make up. Your ideology is just that. So a lot of times when I look at Nick Fuentes, he kind of reminds me of Good Will Hunting, right? You had the character in Good Will Hunting that was, he was from the hood. He was from the rough side of the tracks or whatever. And he had all of these ideas about what the world was like or what these experiences were like. He meets this therapist, and the therapist is like, hey, you actually don't know shit about the world because you haven't experienced it. And I look at Nick Fuentes the same way. It's like some of his ideology is, it can work in the real world as is, but some of the things he's in the world, but not participating fully. He talks about how the white race needs to be repopulated, being diminished by all of these immigrants, and white people are losing their voting power. They're losing their country. The country is losing its identity, but you're not having a family to contribute to it. You don't know what these things look like in practice. So I'm not going to get into this full thing, but that was part of the conversation that I thought was super interesting.